Hello, Gary Champion, Psychic Medium. Um, I'm not doing any more videos about anything that's currently happening. Yes, I know what's going to happen. Racial intolerance. I know what's going to happen there, but it's getting me a lot of flack. You can't please this side and that side. Everybody's so angry about it. So I'm dropping out of that. There are plenty of people doing stuff on that. You don't need me for that. Anyway, tonight's video is about as a kid, music was different. And I had a brother named Craig who he was a Beatle lover, and I was a Beatle lover. Back then, you were either a Stones lover or a Beatle lover. The Stones were blues-based band, still is blues-based band, and the Beatles were a pop band, just different sensibilities. And the funny thing is, as a child, I was into the Beatles, catchy tunes, great stuff, and then as I got older, I got into the blues, and then the Stones became important. So some kind of transitional thing there going. As you get older, the blues become, and blues-based music becomes more something that resonates with you because you've suffered a lot. Usually, if you've lived long enough, you've suffered a lot, and that's what the blues is. The blues is about bad times. There was a famous blues artist called Son House, and I know none of you ever heard of him, black gentleman, and played a kind of a dobro guitar, and didn't play like anybody I ever saw before. Strange hand movements and everything. And he said that the blues was I can't get the diction right, but it's what's happening between a man and a woman. And at the time there was another blues artist, Smokestack Lightning. I can't think of his name. Anyway, he said blues can be about anything. And I tend to be in that camp. I think that if you're feeling, if you got the blues, you got the blues. Anyway, as a kid, I would go to school and sit in class and listen and go home. And we all had little transistor radios. They were little tinny little things. And an earplug, maybe just one. But it seemed that by listening to music, I learned more than I learned in school. I spent a whole, whatever, 6 or 7 hours in school, and a 3-minute song taught me more than they did about life. It's compressed life. That's what a good 3-minute song is, compressed life. They take something and they compress it in 3 minutes where you can listen to it. Why 3 minutes or 2 minutes and 54 seconds? Which I think because that's all the record people would play. That's all the radios would play. It was longer. If it was longer than 3 minutes, they wouldn't play it until the late 60s. And then the Doors came out with Light My Fire. It was like 8 or 9 minutes, and they played it. And it won the Song of the Year. So anyway, I think. And I remember my brother loving the Beatles, and he played the guitar. My brother did, and he sang in a little band in town. And he had bought the Beatles record, the latest one, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band. I think that's the one, the most famous one. And he wanted to be quiet in the front room. We had one of those old boxy kind of stereo players. They were more furniture than they were anything else. We played long playing LPs, long playing, 33 and a third revolutions. Everything before that was 78. Then it was 33 and a third, and then they didn't exist anymore. We went to tape and then to CDs, and who knows what those things are. And I remember sitting there listening to the Beatles with him and how each song was so different. It'd go from one to the next. It was a revolutionary album. But I remember thinking that I'm learning so much about things that I had no idea about from this record. I don't know what it was, 5 or 6 songs on the side, 20 minutes on the side, 40 minutes for an album maybe to listen. And he wanted to experience it from beginning to end as though it were everything. And in that moment, in that front room, in that house, it kind of was. And then we would go to school and we would talk about it with our friends. Did you hear what the Beatles said? They said this. And we would discuss it. I don't remember being that interested in Shakespeare, and certainly not math, because my math skills to this day are still just non-existent. Without a calculator, I'm in trouble. But a 3-minute record, 4-minute record taught me more than maybe a year of school. I could learn one concept that the things you learn in school are tools, and really you have to go to school. I think people think they're going to get out of school. What else can you do? I remember thinking that, what if I was out of school? There's no jobs for a 16-year-old kid or a 15-year-old kid. There aren't. So you have to stay in school long enough to get to a certain age where you can actually get a job. It's logic. But music was significant. It was changing at that time, just like it did in the 50s with Elvis and Little Richard and Chuck Berry and all that. It was revolutionary. And before that time, everything was big band stuff, like World War II music. It was big band. And then out came, I think, the very first rock and roll song, and I may be wrong on this, but I don't think so, from my perspective, is called The Fat Man, 1935 and 39, by Fats Domino, of all people, who was not known for that. But I believe that's the first record. I mean, other people have claimed it, but I think if you listen to it, it's the first rock and roll record. Anyway, that's what I'm saying. So music changed in the late 60s or the mid 67 on. Then it became glam rock and disco and yick, with no message. Before that time, everything was a message. And even there were certain things on Beatle records, you'd take your finger and roll the record backward and it would say, what was that? Paul is dead. Of course, there was this big thing about Paul McCartney having died. And it's a long story about that. But you could actually put the record in a certain place and do it back. It sounded just like Paul is dead. Anyway, part of the conspiracies that we Americans love. But he's still performing. He was out. I mean, he's everywhere. So anyway, I was thinking that I missed those times. The clarity of a 3-minute song was not to be beat. No adult was saying anything that made any sense at all to me. It was all just gobbledygook. Stay in school, do good grades, get a good job. That isn't stuff we wanted to hear. We wanted to hear, all you need is love. We wanted to hear Eleanor Rigby or A Day in the Life or any other song from that period. I almost said a song that's very controversial. I'm glad I caught myself. But anyway, if you're of any age at all, and I'm sure today's songs, top 40, it does the same for the kids today, that they feel, damn, why that makes so much sense. That's so clear. What are you saying? And even rappers, what are these guys rapping about? that makes sense. It's from that perspective, it's so revealing. Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I see that? Well, that's what artists do. Artists take things and they shine a light on them for others to learn. Nothing wrong with that. Anyway, musical perspective from an old guy that I miss the clarity. And perhaps if I listened to a different genre of music, maybe if I listened to rap music, I'd have more understanding of things. Rap music, it's not music. It's it's street poetry set to rhythm. It's not music. No one's singing. They're saying words. It's a street poetry. And they're expressing for them what life is or should be or what it's about or their angst and the problems they're having, just like they did in the 60s and the 50s with the rock and roll songs. It's the same thing. Maybe the message has changed, but I probably don't think so. Um, get off my back and let me do my thing or something like that. Anyway, um, I hope this is a positive video. I'm trying to do positive videos. It's so much negativity that's just choking us that we don't need any more of it. This will play out and it'll be what it is, but we're not going to be the same again. And I can tell you what's going to happen, but I'm not getting into that. That controversy has no purpose. But pull out some old record you had 20, 30 years ago. Well, if you're not 30 years old, you can't do that. But something 5 years ago or 8 years ago that you found that you loved, listen to it and listen to the clarity of it. It's just a phrase of words. And sometimes it's repetitive. And you go, can you not move on to something else? But it's repetitive for a reason. Often just the impact of repetitiveness makes it stick in your brain more. Anyway, a lot can be learned from the blues. I've learned a lot from the blues and blues men. And Howlin' Wolf, that's the guy's name. Howlin' Wolf said the blues is, that's a strange name for a singer, isn't it? It was a long time ago. Large black man. Had a great stage show. I've seen videos. But he said blues can be anything. So, and I think we're having a lot of blues now. And perhaps it's appropriate to listen to a little blues and experience it in a different way. Because we're talking about empathy. Back to empathy again. You thought I was going to give that up, but I'm not. Even though we're not suffering like other people, we should have empathy for them and should help if we can. In a positive way, not in a negative way. I'm not digging the negative crap. That doesn't help anybody. Paints a bad light on people who are not that way. So dig up an old record and listen to it. That's exactly what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to find something. I'm not sure what. Maybe an old Beatles tune. Maybe I Saw Her Standing There. It's an early Beatles song about kind of instantaneous love. I Saw Her Standing There. There's a great version of it out, I think I saw it a while ago, where Paul McCartney's in Shea Stadium doing a thing, and he walks on and does that song. It's a great song then, it's a great song now. She was just 17, you know what I mean. And the way she looked was way beyond compare. How could I dance with another? I saw her standing there. That's what love is. No fear, no regret, no anger. Thanks for watching.